In 3, 2, 1, for science! Wow, look at that, dude! Oh, that thing gets after it. Look at it, it's already squirting the transcooler. It already knows its job. I'm calling this a win. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Burndown YouTube channel. And today, we're gonna do a little science. We're doing a little experimenting. I bought a little pump, and what I would like to do with the Twinnebago, if you guys are familiar with this rig at all, it's twin turbo LS motorhome, and I had some heating issues, and I think a lot of it was due to actually dragging the brakes of all things, and it was heating up basically the whole drivetrain. So I'm thinking we got that licked with the install of the power steering cooler, so you can go back and watch that episode to catch up if you would like. But to combat the heat, I have this guy right here. So this is actually a washer box for a windshield out of it was a Ford F-150. So I robbed that out of the junkyard. Whoa, there's stuff behind me, almost fall down. I robbed that out of a junkyard to take with me on Rocky Mountain Race Week for the Malibu. And what I was doing with it is I hooked up the lines and hoses, and I hooked it up to an overhead switch, and when I would hit it, it would basically squirt the same little squirters that you use to clean your windshield on the radiator. And then I didn't really hit the transmission cooler, but it magically cools things down because of evaporative cooling. It's the same principle as like a, what is that? It's not an air conditioner. It's a swamp cooler. So a swamp cooler works in the same fashion. It pumps water up, puts it on the pads. As it evaporates, it blows the air through it, and that's why you feel the cool air. It helps tremendously on the radiator. It's really not that great technically because you're shocking the metal and then you're spraying water all over stuff. But let's be honest, I'd rather kind of do that and wear out a radiator and just get another one if I had to, versus overheating and having to pull off. And mainly, it's not for like all-time use. I'm using that for the condition where you're driving somewhere, maybe there's nowhere to pull off or pull over, you're climbing a grade, the thing's getting hot, you know, you're not at the bottom. You shouldn't be, if you're hot at the bottom, you should wait before you climb the grade. But say you're into the thing and you're going and you can't stop or pull over and your temp's getting up. I mean, it's a really nice little safety feature. Makes you sleep good at night, let's just be honest. So what we're doing today, that was a long-winded intro in a way, let me not trip again. A long-winded intro to say that I'd like to change this setup. I put this in here before we went camping. It worked phenomenal, but when I was out there camping, there's a student named Mark, and I was like, oh, I got this little box. We were laughing about it because it basically helped me get there and back home. And he was like, you have a giant water tank like in the Winnebago? Because initially I thought I'd be slick and I'd put it like under the sink and maybe catch like some of the runoff water and stuff. And he said, bro, that water starts to stink, and then you're gonna be shooting that, and then you're gonna be smelling it. He was like, you want to squirt fresh water? I was like, that's a good idea, because I figured when we were driving we could just, you know, turn the water on to fill the box up so you don't have to constantly fill it. And he's like, why wouldn't you just tap the tank that you have and you got all the water you need? So what I did is I bought an external motor. So we're gonna test that out today, because there's some complications with doing a setup like this that I've kind of thought about, and I've had some issues with that. So we'll go over right now, kind of walk around, show you guys what we're looking at, and then we'll do some science for science. Science for science. Wow. Okay, so I don't know if these guys are hanging out still. I think, yeah, I tucked them back in a way. So these were the little squirt guys, and before I built this panel, that was the other thing too, is airflow. I built this panel to kind of direct majority of the air, hopefully through the radiator. I had those guys set up and they were squirting down onto the radiator, and I have two of them, like one on kind of each side. You can see where there's a little discolor where it was actually hitting with the water. So now that I have this panel, you know, I could actually mount these things pretty slick and have it, you know, exactly where I want it, and probably just hook them to the panel. But we're not really that far yet. What I'd like to do is test it. But why I wanted to show this, because this is my floor level, right? So having that box on the floor, when I put these here, it basically does a siphon effect because it has to come over this. So this is a higher point than where I had them mounted to squirt on the radiator. And because this is the floor level, this is where the box is, and then you can see it went up and then kind of back down. Once you get it over the hump, it continued to drip and siphon, which wasn't technically a big deal because it would eventually like run out of water. It's just that small box. But if we're doing the same concept, but I have my entire water tank back there, granted, I'm not going to fill it to the tippy top before we start running down the road with it. There's no use or no reason to have that much extra weight, but you figure like say 10 gallons in it or so. I don't want to have it just sit there and constantly drip all over the place. Like leaking 10 gallons of water, you'll sit somewhere for a while and I'm going to just make a mess of things. So I have to be cognitive of it siphoning. And then the other thing too, I'd like to shoot the transmission coolers on the back, and they're way lower than the floor. So not only do we have to test the pump, we have to see if it'll continue to siphon, and if it does, that'll be another issue we'll have to tackle. But the first issue I have, let's go around to the back. We'll skip over there real quick, and I'll kind of show you guys what the tank looks like and what issues we kind of got going with that. All right, here we are around back, and this is where the water tank lives. It's basically like under the bed in the back. So here it is. This is the fresh water tank. This is where the water comes out, goes to my pump, and this is what feeds, you know, everything, shower, all that inside. And then this is my fill, which is done through here. So other than that, there are no other entrances to get into the tank. There's a vent right here, so that vents down probably like for slosh or whatever if you overfilled it. So that might be a good entrance point. But the problem I have is I don't know if the windshield washer pump will pump it up, because I'd like to mount the pump somewhere a bit higher or even over here, wherever, and I'd like it to draw the fluid up. I don't necessarily want to start tapping into all of this stuff here, and if I do, I'd have to do it pre-pump side, because on that side it's all pressurized, so the water sits against the pump and then obviously it pushes. It's a pusher pump. So if we have to, I would have to tap it on this side somehow, or if I can, I'd like to go into here. So the dilemma I have is, will it draw the water up and then pump it? So I don't know. That's what we're gonna find out today. So that's one of the scientific things we need to do, is see if it'll draw the water up, and then if it does, we have to see if it'll continue to siphon after you turn it off. So those are the two things I want to check out, and then maybe we can kind of get a plan together for this. I don't have all the materials to complete this today, but I want to get that test done, and then that'll tell me what we need and what we don't. So let's go do some science. Here is the pump that I got. Trico spray, Amazon deal. It was fairly cheap, and it was either this one or they had one other pump. So this one looked a little more promising to me. So we'll open it up. I'll read the instructions real quick, and then I've got a bucket with some water, and we can set it all up. And I got some sprayers and some other stuff. We'll see how this thing performs. We're just gonna run it with a little 12-volt battery. And let me open it up. We'll set it up and we'll see first if it will draw water up, and then secondly, if when we kill the power, if it continues to siphon. Because if it does, then we have another issue. So, all right, here's my scientific setup. I mean, a little overkill, obviously. She's a little long, but if it'll bring it up through that and spit it out here, I'm gonna say it's a win. So that's it. We got it all hooked up, rigged up. Let's see if this thing will shoot water. All right, go, get your pump.
"20 minutes later."
Okay, that was a fail. Let me figure out a different way to do it to get water against it, and just to see if the thing even works. All right, the scientist failed. I had it hooked up wrong, so I played with it a bit. So this is the inlet. That's why you should read directions, kids. Okay, now, and also it says like a 5-second time frame for it to run. So let's see if it'll draw it up now and spit it out. Wish me luck. 3, 2. Oh. Not happening. Okay, so obviously this is a little extreme, but it definitely does not like trying to pick it up and over that. I don't even... Oh. Just let the smoke out. I think I might have melted this thing already trying to do some science. Oh, look, it says in and out on it too. See? Out, in. Okay. Let me turn the compressor on. I'll blow this thing off, cool it off. And then we will see. We'll actually put some water in it and see how it actually works and give it... Oh, look. That answers if it siphons or not. Huh. Here. Go. See how hot this thing's getting. All right. Well, the unscientific scientific method didn't work at all. So apparently, yes, it will siphon, and no, it will not draw fluid up. So that is lose-lose. We are batting 1,000 with this thing. So let me go to the drawing board and kind of see what we got, because I would have to be on the low pressure side of the pump in the Bago. And the problem I have with it, I mean, I guess if I tap into the line and do a decent job, or I get a compression fitting that has like an outlet where I can, I just don't want anything to pop off and leak. So I'm gonna have to figure out like a decent way to put in there, because things are bouncing around and all that. And the last thing I want is a little 1/8 inch line on 40 gallons of water just leaking when I'm driving down the road or camping or whatever I'm doing with it. So, well, this thing, it's for what it is. I mean, I got my money's worth, but let's put a squirter thing on here and see how well it actually sprays, and see if it can do multiples before we get carried away. It definitely works for its intended purpose. Okay, I thought about it a bit. We're gonna change directions. We're siphoning the water out as much as this will siphon. We'll see how low it gets. But what I'm gonna do is get the water out of here, whatever's in here. I'm gonna take this fitting off. Oh, make sure everything's tight. And then I'm gonna drill and tap it on that side. And there's a hole down here. So we'll have a 1/4 inch line that comes off and goes down underneath. And then I just went to bug my friend Turbo Joe this morning, and then I was asking him, like, man, where am I gonna get a 12-volt solenoid? Because I have to be able to shut this thing off and on. So he's like, a better Mac valve would do it. So I have a 3-port Mac valve. I actually took off the Malibu, so that will stop the water from siphoning or draining out of this tank. And then he has a meth injection pump, which is way stronger than that little guy that I bought. And that little guy that I bought is supposed to have like a 5-second window before it starts getting hot. So I might try the meth injection pump, and then we'll have the solenoid to shut the water off so it doesn't leak. So I think tentatively that's my plan. But let me get this emptied, and then I think we'll drill and tap that portion. And then we're gonna be limited on supplies, but at least if I kind of get it set up, I know what I need to do. As long as I gotta just get a hose to connect it, I think that'd be a win for today. So let's get this thing all drained, and then we'll come back and get after it. So we're gonna try to drill and tap this, and this will be my water feed. So this sits in the Bago like that. So let's see if we can do that without screwing things up. And then this will be my water feed to this guy. And then we'll go get that pump from Joe. We'll check it out, and we'll see how we go. All right, so we got it drilled and tapped. I thought it might crack or split or something, but it looks good. And then I have a bunch of other stuff too. I was kind of thinking out loud on some of this, but I may run like the push lock. I don't have any of these in elbows, I don't think. But I may just put that on there, because I got a bunch of the nylon line. And then I thought about like AN hard lining it, but this needs to shimmy and move all around. So I think the nylon stuff is gonna be my best bet. So I don't know if this stuff's good for water. I guess if it's good for air, it should be good for water. But throw one of those dogs on there. We'll see if we can go put this in place, see if it'll thread back on, and then maybe we can kind of run the nylon down and see what we're looking at and go get the pump from Joe. So let me see if I can get this on there, put this back on the tank, and then we'll move on to mounting this, and then I'll go get that pump. Man, this episode's turned out to be a doozy. I thought I was just gonna do some science for science, and here we are changing it up. But we got this dog in here, so I got my little fitting there, And like I said, I'm hoping this thing will be watertight. So you just plug the nylon in and give it a little tug and it should seal. And then I'll run it down. You can see we got a hole here. So this will be my supply line. And now all we have to do is hook up the pump and the Mac valve. And then I'm gonna run those off of the same relay. And then we'll do that at a later date. But if I can just kind of get stuff in there, maybe tentatively like mounted, we can put some water in the tank and then screw around with the battery and shoot water on myself underneath the Winnebago, I would be a happy camper. Although I do have to say, you can't ruin my day today because I was able to score like 12 Topo Chicos at the store today. Those things sell out like hotcakes. I got the lime ones. So you ain't raining on my parade today. I'll sit out in the rain and drink Topo Chicos and life is good. So let's get on over to Joe's. We'll go get that pump and see if we can't wrap this thing up here in time for dinner. Well, that's how it started. And that's how it's going. Bam, look at this thing. You know, you probably find a better use for this than squirting water on your radiator. But you know what? Not me. We're gonna try it. So, big shout out to my buddy Joe. He said he had this sitting on the shelf and I was telling him what I was doing and I was messing with this thing. He's like, send me a picture. He's like, come use this thing, dude. That would be awesome. So, I don't know. Looks like we're gonna actually party. This thing is way overkill, but so is the Twinnebago, right? Match made in heaven. Let me crawl under there. We'll put some line in, we'll put some water in and see if the thing doesn't leak, and then we can test these things. And what I'm gonna do is run them together. But I think I'm gonna test this first just to see if the water will kind of pass through it. And then obviously I know this big dog works, but yeah, let the fun commence for science. I got a little water going down to see if we got any leaks over here. And then I have this coming up. So once it's underneath the Bago, it should obviously leak water. And then what we'll do, if we're dry here, oh, there we go, see? Well, tested that, huh? So what we'll do here is we will put the Mac valve on it and see if we can turn this off and on underneath there. And if that works, we'll employ a pump somehow, we'll do that. So, all right, let me monitor the situation before I make a mess. We are dry as a bone in here, so the airline stuff is working out good. Hopefully I can move it around, you know, to get some room for wiggle. But anyway, we'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, this is all dry, so all my connections are good. The deal that I drilled and tapped is good, and then I want to show you guys. So if we move far enough down, on, and then far enough up, off, on, off. So let's put this guy in here. Pull it. So there we go. So no on. Let's get a battery. And turbo smart my. Alright, let's see if it works. Well, turbo smart. Polarity doesn't matter. Let's go. Oh, whoa, for science. Woo, look at it go. On, off. Okay, so it does work, although the stream is really limited, so I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing with mega pump that we have over there. I guess we could try mini pump first and see how that one fares, and then maybe we'll try the mega. So let me set up. Let's just go straight for the Gusto. That's what the people came to see. Let me hook up Mega Dog and we'll just do it right here, and we'll see how. I think I got a spider web. We'll see how it goes. Here we go. We got the magical conglomerate, so we got it feeding water. It should be getting water, and then these are both on the same circuit. So I plug this in. Hopefully something magical happens. 3, 2, 1. Look at that. Ha! We did it, boys. We did it. And then, see, it's not leaking. That's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking. Let's put Let's put some little spray apparatus on there. Here we go. Fire in the hole. Oh. Oh, look at that. Magic. Oh no. Oh God. Oh, it's getting crazy. That is phenomenal. I'm gonna mount this thing up. We can kind of battery test it underneath there, but I think it's gonna work as long as, like I said, as long as it shuts it off. So I have to give it up to my buddy Turbo Joe, because I was thinking to not shoot through the solenoid or squirt through the solenoid, but that thing is kind of piss poor, like the flow that goes through it, probably because it's made for air, let's be honest. But yeah, I thought the thing would be overkill, but the pump's cool. And the good thing about it is this has a much higher duty cycle. I can probably just run the damn thing until the water's gone, versus that little guy, the instructions said like 5 seconds. And again, this is just like a little cheap motor. It's not sealed or anything. And not that I mind using it, I was just imagining butt puckering and trying to go up some hill and then laying on the button because I'm like, oh, we got to cool this thing off and make it to the top. And then that little dude is just back here smoking away and just dies. And yeah, so yeah, we'll just use a big dog because this thing, we can just run that bad boy all day long. So killer. Let me mount it up underneath. We'll get a final look at it and we'll wrap this thing, even though it's supposed to be a long video today. But you know what? I'm having fun, having a good day. I hope you guys are too. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Finished product. Water's coming in. We don't have any leaks. Rolling, as you can see, we got the little dudes on the end of this. That's what it's all about. Let's make it happen without hopefully hosing ourselves off. Let's kind of point those in the general direction. All right. In 3, 2, 1, for science. Wow, look at that, dude. Oh, that thing gets after it. Look at it, it's already squirting the transcooler. It already knows its job. I'm calling this a win. I'm excited. Let me clean up and then we'll wrap this video. Well, that is that. I'm really excited because that is pretty much the last thing that I have to do to that rig besides cosmetics. So we can start making her look pretty, taking some of the crap off the top and doing all the stuff that we got to do to get her all lined out for the trip. But runs, drives, shifts, it should definitely cool itself, a little safety cooling. I'm not going to attempt towing this go around with it, but when I do, at least I have all the cooling and stuff in place. I'm going to give it a good 600-mile jaunt without trying to tow. If we can make that successful and we get some, bugs worked out, make sure it runs and drives good, we'll think about throwing a trailer behind this bad boy. So that's it. I'm going to clean up. We'll get that thing wired. Hopefully I can control it with the Holly, which would be freaking cool. We'll go over all that here on the next episode. You guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, share. I'm out.